Chapter 435. Hearing that, the sisters did not have any complaints and slowly closed their beautiful eyes. At least, this is better than being a slave by Lucifer's side. However, after waiting for a long time and seeing that there was no movement, they opened their beautiful eyes and took a look. There is no one in front of me. Big sister, did we become ugly? No one actually wants us anymore. Celine was very disappointed. It wasn't easy for me to meet someone that I like, but in the end, that person doesn't like me. As the big sister, Celine was much calmer. Little sister, such a strong man would naturally understand humility. Is that so? I feel that he cares about our status. Hearing what the little sister said, the big sister was already disappointed. LV Shu, who returned to the bar, let out a sigh of relief. You guys want to suck me, how can that be? Big brother, where did you go? Yi Hong was currently packing up the chairs and preparing to get off work. LV Shu smiled, I went to save a single girl. Tang Wei teased, then why didn't you bring her back? It's a long story, a long story. Zi Shan wiped the table and said, LV Shu, you are Yi Hong's big brother, it is time to look for you. That's right, big brother, without sister-in-law to take care of you, I am also deeply worried. Scram. The big brother raised his hand and slapped. You are actually teasing your big brother now. Wei Chang smiled, let me tell you guys something, little His Honor's birthday is going to be celebrated soon, prepare a present. Everyone nodded their heads and began planning what to give His Honor. His Honor is so rich, he definitely won't like these vulgar things. We just have to prepare some exquisite small gifts, for example, dolls, toys, don't all children like those? Do we even need to use money? Give treasures. Is His Honor such a vulgar person? Giving these things is completely looking down on His Honor. After cleaning up the bar, the few walked out and coincidentally bumped into Celine and Celine, who were standing at the entrance. Looking at their posture, it seems like they have been waiting for a long time. LV Shu's expression collapsed. What are you guys doing? Could it be that I am the only man in the world? Women are very peculiar creatures, when they entrust their feelings to you, they will not look back. Who are you guys looking for? Tang Wei asked curiously. The two sisters pointed at LV Shu at the same time, causing everyone to be startled. Yi Hong patted on her big brother's shoulder, Big brother, they are pretty good, let's take a look around first. After he finished speaking, he left with his wife Zi Shan. Don't be a third wheel. Tang Wei also held on to Wei Chang's arm and sat on the Qian to return home. LV Liang looked at the two vampires in front of her and said in a deep voice, what exactly do you see in me? I should know, okay. Serene pursed her lips, lowered her head, and said, you're so flirtatious. Puff. This was really hard to change, revealing the truth with a single sentence. To be honest, if you were humans, I would definitely be friends with you. But you are blood breeds. I feel really uncomfortable. LV Liang told the truth. Serena said softly, LV Liang, actually, our bodies are the same as human girls' bodies. We can also give birth. As long as human girls can do it, we can do it too. Really? Don't lie to me. I'm a man who has been lied to before. I'm always vigilant. I don't believe it. Serene walked over and said in a sweet voice, then touch it and you'll know. Not only did they throw money at him, but they also seduced him. They definitely wanted to suck him in. How could he make the same mistake twice? I'm a good person. LV Liang said in a deep voice. The two sisters nodded their heads, expressing that they understood. Why can't you guys tell that I'm rejecting you guys? I'm just being a bit more amiable, I don't want to hurt you guys. LV Liang, are you hungry? We have delicious supper and a lot of wine over there. You can eat whatever you want. Serene went up and held onto LV Liang's arm. Right now, LV Liang was feeling the majestic and grand feeling. His arm actually sunk in, it could be seen how deep the feeling was. I'll get someone to arrange it. The big sister, Serena, was a bit more reserved. These two women failed to seduce me, and they actually used delicacies to tempt me. Even if my big brother Green starves to death, I still won't go to that kind of place to eat. Do you have crayfish? Serena was delighted, and we have a lot. Ah. Let's eat some then. LV Liang said reluctantly. Inside the 7 bar, there was a bedroom, and the two sisters usually stayed here. LV Liang, you are the first man to enter our room. Serene said bashfully. Compared to her big sister, she was a lot more straightforward. Looking at the pink world in front of him, it really doesn't match with him being green at all. Actually, we can just go outside to eat, we are afraid of dirtying your room. LV Liang said embarrassedly. How good would it be if these two were ordinary girls? Serena said tenderly, we are afraid of disturbing you if we go outside. Not only is she using delicacies to tempt me, she is also using sweetness to attack me. If it was an underling, he would definitely fall for her. But I am Big Brother Green. A man who was cuckolded before. I am the man that you guys will never be able to get. Open your mouth. Serena could be seen peeling a crayfish and placing it beside LV Liang's mouth. LV Liang opened his mouth and ate the crayfish. It feels so fragrant. LV Liang, stay behind tonight, big sister, and I will serve you well. Serena said coquettishly, and she even intentionally blew towards LV Liang's neck. However, this action made LV Liang feel that they want to suck me tonight. And even looking at the artery on my neck, they definitely want to bite me in that moment of excitement. And then fiercely suck me. Until I die. Dong dong dong, come in, Serena said faintly. When the foreigner saw that the princess was actually intimately leaning onto a man's body, he was a bit surprised. However, he still said, Your Highness, a person who calls himself Zhou Yi wants to meet you, not meeting. Serena said coldly. Can't you see that I am accompanying my sweetheart? Yes. Wait, see. Why is he not meeting? LV Liang heard Uncle Wei talk about this Zhou Yi before, and he really wanted to know what Zhou Yi was doing here. The foreigner was puzzled for a moment, not knowing who he should listen to. Serena said faintly, Didn't you hear? See. Yes. Your Highness. LV Liang stood up and said, You two meet, I will eavesdrop. The two sisters knew what Yi Liang meant and nodded their heads. LV Liang didn't hide and directly jumped onto the big bed of the two sisters, covered himself with the blanket and pretended to sleep. It's been a long time since I've smelled a woman's fragrance like this in my life. Zhou Yi walked in with a smile on his face. Just like before, he was cunning. Your Highness. Zhou Yi said respectfully with Western etiquette. The two sisters were a bit shocked, this Zhou Yi actually knew of their identity. Zhou Yi secretly took a glance at the pink big bed, and there was actually a man on the pink big bed. Chapter 436. Your Lord Zhou? Serena asked. Lord Zhou said respectfully, Your Highness, just call me Little Zhou. Serene remained silent at the side. She thought to herself, so this is how it feels to be conquered by a powerful man. I can't wait to offer my most precious and pure blood. Serena maintained the demeanor of a princess and said calmly, What's the matter? My master knows that Her Royal Highness has been a little troubled recently, so he specially sent me over to deliver a small gift. Lord Zhou said with a smile. He didn't have many other things, but he had many masters. Now that he had lost contact with one, there was still one left. Lord Zhou took out an exquisite little box. When he opened it, the whole room was immersed in a blue ocean. Serena looked at the piece in the box and exclaimed, "This is Neptune's spear." When Lord Joe saw it for the first time, he was also shocked. According to his master, this was an ancient godly item. Even though it was only a part of it, if he could find the rest, he would be able to obtain a true ancient godly item. It was said that this great desolate era godly equipment had the power to split the heavens and split the earth. Master actually gave it to someone else, and it was only because he wanted to flirt with them. "Your Highness, this is indeed the Neptune spear. If we can find the other 3 pieces, then we won't have to fear anyone," Jiu Yi explained. "Do you have any requests?" Serena asked in a deep voice. "Actually, my master doesn't have any requests. He just wants to have a meal with your Highness. He hopes that your Highness will do him the honor." The 2 sisters sneered inwardly. Wanting to use a quarter of the sea god's spear to exchange for their purest blood, truly delusional. "Lord Joe, please go back. This Neptune spear is very precious. You must take good care of it." Just as his master had guessed, things wouldn't go so smoothly. After putting away the items, Lord Joe smiled and said, "This is my name card. If your Highnesses change your mind, you can call this number at any time. My 8848 titanium phone is on 24/7, so don't worry." Serena waved her hand. Lord Joe bowed and retreated. He sighed in his heart. "Why bother? If you push my master too far, I won't give you any face then." When Lord Joe walked out, the 2 sisters jumped up. LV Liang, who was deep in thought, was startled. She immediately smelled a delicate fragrance beside her. "What are you doing? Don't mess around, I'm an upright and plain-spoken man." LV Liang hugged the quilt and looked at the 2 sisters vigilantly. Big sister Serena said faintly, "LV Liang, you also heard it just now, a lot of people have their eyes on us. Sooner or later, we will be. If that's the case, I might as well give that purest blood to you. LV Shu, I'm begging you. Please accept my and my sister's purest blood." At the side, Celine begged bitterly. "Just by looking at her, I can't help but want to make a move on her. I'll let her off today. It's been hard on her these past 2 days." After covering himself with the blanket, Yihua got up and took a bath, then went out of the house to buy breakfast for his wife. "As long as you follow this sovereign's will, this sovereign will pamper you to the heavens." Just when Yihua stepped out of leisure bar, he received Wei Chang's contact. "Your Honor, subordinate has something to report to you." "Speak." Last night, LV Liang received 2 pieces of valuable information. The first piece of information is that the self-proclaimed demon king in Europe, Lucifer, wants to capture the Sisters of 7 Bar for their purest blood. The second piece of information is that Lord Geo has a master behind him, and he wants to have a meal with the sisters by exchanging a part of a primeval godly item. "Oh," Yihua responded. "These are all small matters, buying breakfast for Baiji is a big matter. Am I being too biased recently? I should go and comfort Qinya properly in a few days' time to prevent her from complaining. After all, I have to share the reign and do equally." "Your Honor, what do you think we should do about this matter?" Wei Chang asked. "There is no need to ask me about this kind of small matter." After finished speaking, Wei Chang cut off the contact. Meanwhile, Wei Chang passed on his Honor's latest command to LV Liang. His Honor said, "Do as you see fit." After LV Liang received his Honor's command, LV Liang immediately felt pressured. "This time, I have to perform well and hope to receive his Honor's praise." Chapter 437. Yihua arrived at the entrance of the alley and saw that the auntie was currently making Chinese jianbing. Should I go and show off in front of the auntie? These few days, when I came over to buy Chinese crepes, I was ridiculed by this auntie to the point that I couldn't take it anymore. In the entire world, I, the Supreme Overlord, admire this auntie. 4 pancakes with eggs and ham sausages. The middle-aged woman looked back and smiled. Handsome, you look good today. Is your wife back? Humph, how would they dare to disobey me? I'll teach them a lesson anytime. As a supreme overlord, he is actually showing off in front of an auntie. Sigh. The aunt smiled but did not say anything. This caused Yihua to feel very unhappy. Aren't you very talkative? Don't look down on women. They spoil you because they love you. Spoil me? He chuckled. You are wrong, I am the one who is spoiling them. Yihua said in disdain. The auntie smiled once again and did not say anything. This caused Yihua to be very speechless. This auntie is truly awesome, to actually be acting so mysterious in front of me. A moment later, the middle-aged woman handed over 4 pancakes. Are you still going to owe me for today? Yihua, this sentence almost caused Yihua to bleed. A formidable enemy isn't those people who possess absolute strength, but this aunt who is selling Chinese jianbing fruit pancakes in front of me. Do you think that I won't return what I owe you? Yihua said gravely, then turned around and walked towards leisure bar. But, listening to this auntie's nagging feels pretty good. Are they spoiling me? He took out a jianbing and took a bite. It was especially fragrant today. In actuality, what the auntie said was very reasonable. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were indeed spoiling Yihua. Take Donghuang Baiji for example. For the past 2 days, Donghuang Baiji had not even gotten out of the bed and was doing her best to satisfy Yihua's needs. He took 2 pancakes and gave them to his sister-in-law and Yizizi. Today was the weekend, so Yizizi was off. Walking into the bedroom, and looking at the Empress's spotlessly white shoulders that were exposed to the air, Yihua's lower abdomen once again emitted a ball of raging fire. Why is this Donghuang Baiji so captivated by me? Holding on to the crepe, Yihua brought it to Donghuang Baiji's mouth. Right now, the cold and arrogant Empress was extremely adorable. If not for Donghuang Baiji's tired state, Yihua would have definitely pounced onto the Empress and enjoyed her body. The Empress opened her beautiful eyes slightly, and looked at her husband, who was very close to her. A gentle smile appeared on her face, and she said, "Is it the fruit jianbing from the alley?" "Yes." Hey, when the Empress started acting coquettishly, even Yihua was a bit unable to endure it. Sitting on the side of the bed, Yihua said faintly, "Do you know how enchanting you look like right now?" Seeing the eager look in her husband's eyes, the Empress instantly shrank back and said, "Let me rest for a day, okay? I originally wanted to let you rest for 2 days. I didn't expect that your Majesty would only need 1 day. It can be seen that you are very dissatisfied with your husband." Annoying, Donghuang Baiji smacked onto Yihua petulantly. That bashful look of hers was truly indescribable with words. For this woman to actually be this beautiful, I really have to sigh in admiration. After eating the love-filled Chinese jianbing that her husband bought for her, Donghuang Baiji rubbed onto her tummy. "Yihua, do you think that I am already pregnant? If we put in a bit more effort, we should be able to." "Yihua, you have changed." Yihua laughed lightly. "Have I become bigger?" Donghuang Baiji was very speechless, then said tenderly, "My face changed. If I have such a wife and my face still doesn't change, it would really be a waste of a heavenly gift. You have also become a flirtatious person." Donghuang Baiji added another sentence. "Although her husband has changed, he has become even more perfect. That kind of ice, cold Yihua is not what I want." Yihua smiled. "Indeed, after meeting them, I have changed a lot. Let's hope that this is a good start. Where is Ali's birthday?" Donghuang Baiji leaned onto her husband's arm and asked. Yihua lightly caressed onto Donghuang Baiji's soft body and said faintly, "Our family's birthday." There was nothing more important than being together as a family. This was something that Yihua had learned. Dongwang Baiji suddenly sealed onto Yihua's lips and said with a gentle gaze, Yihua, love me properly, Baiji, you are truly getting more and more daring. Yihua laughed lightly. He decided to properly dote on the Empress. To actually dare to openly provoke me. Qin Yutong and Yizizi, who were in the room beside Yihua, were wearing earphones to block out the noise. At night, Yihua walked out of the bedroom and stretched his body. This feels great. Coming to the office, Yihua took out a stick of cigarette. Where should I bring my daughter to have fun on her birthday? Go abroad to have fun. That doesn't seem interesting. Go to another planet to have fun. Admire the beauty of a foreign country. This idea is not bad. Daddy, Yihua, who was currently thinking, didn't notice that Qingye and Dong Huangli had appeared. Yihua turned around and carried his daughter into his embrace, then fiercely kissed onto her chubby face. The latter also gave her father a big kiss. Daddy, Ali misses you so much, Dong Huangli held onto her father's chest and said sweetly. Daddy misses Ali too. Lightly caressing onto his daughter's hair, Yihua felt that his life right now was perfect. My wife, my child, and my subordinates, I didn't die in vain. After the father and daughter pair cuddled together for a while, Yihua said with a smile, Ollie, quickly go and take a look at mommy and accompany mommy to sleep. And then Ollie won't disturb daddy and mommy Qing anymore. The little fellow was rather sensible and immediately ran out of the office. Only Yihua and Qingye were left in the office. Looking at Qingye's bulging stomach, Yihua stretched out his hand and lightly caressed onto Qingye's stomach, then said in a low voice, Qingye, thank you. Hearing her husband's heartfelt words, Qingye's beautiful eyes immediately turned red as she said with a smile, we are already husband and wife, there is no need to thank me. Do you still hate me? Lightly hugging onto Qingye, Yihua asked faintly. Qingye hugged onto her husband's strong body and said tenderly, Yihua, I want to apologize to you. This foolish woman, is she trying to move me to death? Seems like I have no choice but to properly dote on you tonight. Forget it, it is all in the past. Yihua said lightly. Qingye muttered, Yihua, you have your own standpoint, I have my own way of thinking. However, I have forgotten that you are my husband, I should support you unconditionally, and not help others to criticize you. Qingye's eyes lit up. Yihua was a bit surprised. I didn't expect that Qingye would have such a realization. This is a good thing, a happy thing. Since you have given me a way out of this embarrassing situation, I have to coax you and not let you suffer any grievances. I am also at fault, I shouldn't have shouted at you like that, especially when you were pregnant. Hearing what her husband said, Qingye was moved, and tears immediately flowed out of her eyes. When she was pregnant, her husband wasn't by her side, and Qingye could be said to have experienced it. I really don't know how Donghuang Baiji managed to endure it back then. My bloodline is very tough, and no matter what I do to the child, nothing bad will happen to the child. However, he also had to take care of his wife's feelings. Alright, I promise you. Hearing what her husband said, Qingye's face became red, and she slowly closed her beautiful eyes. Looking at Qingye's appearance, Yihua couldn't help but want to take back the words that he had said just now. This is simply waiting for me to pamper her. He gently took off his wife's clothes and gently caressed her. A beautiful melody came out from Qingye's vocal cords. This was simply the most beautiful sound in the world. After one round, Qingye's face was completely red as she laid on her husband's chest. It feels so comfortable. I will let you off today, after you give birth to the child. Qingye sweetly rolled her eyes at her husband, however, she still said, got it. As expected of my woman, she is becoming more and more sensible. Where are we going to celebrate Ali's birthday? Qingye asked curiously. Yihua thought for a while, then said faintly, to be honest, our family of 4 has never seriously gone out to play before. How about we use Ali's birthday this time to go out and relax ourselves? Chinya felt that her husband's suggestion was pretty good and said tenderly, then, where are we going to relax ourselves? I haven't thought about it yet, but it is definitely going to be a place that is different from the masses. And, we will listen to your arrangements then. Chinya said tenderly. That's right, the aunt at the alley entrance owes you 200 plus RMB, you can go and pay her back tomorrow morning. After hearing what Yihua said, Chinya was speechless. Without me by your side, your life sure is poor and dejected. If you don't have money, tell me. Yihua said in disdain, do I look like the kind of man who asks for money from a woman? Alright, you are the most formidable. In actuality, Chinya and Donghuang Baiji were the women who doted on their husband the most. Yihua felt that after this time, the two of them wouldn't dare to mess around anymore. Because, no matter how bad the things that I, the Supreme Overlord, did, it was all because of you two. You two are the real culprits, and I, the Supreme Overlord, at most, can only be considered as an accomplice. Chinya. Let's do it one more time. Don't be obedient, nothing will happen. You go and look for Baiji. She is already at her limit. Then, this will be the last time. Alright, this will be the last time tonight. Qin Yutong and Yizizi felt that it is about time for us to move out of the house, or to make a layer of super soundproofing. October 16th was little Ali's birthday. Today, the little fellow was dressed up like a little princess, and she was very happy. On this night, leisure bar was closed. It seems like there weren't any customers that came. Yihua's subordinates were all present to celebrate the little overlord's birthday. Just how big of a scene was this? Dong Huangli was about to be praised to the heavens by everyone, and the smile on her face had never stopped. Right now, Yihua came to the office and opened the gifts that his subordinates gave him. However, when he looked at the gifts that his subordinates gave him, he was simply too stingy. Wei Chang sent over a giant panda. If it was a real giant panda, then it would be fine, but this was a furry toy. Lai Gu sent over a set of dolls, the kind that can wear clothes. Does my child still want to play with such childish things? Absolute Heaven received quite a lot of benefits this time, and he actually sent over a learning machine. Yizizi's gift was even simpler, the princess dress that Ali was currently wearing was bought by her. However, when Yihua heard that the princess dress was bought by Yizizi through scrimping, Yihua felt rather gratified. There are even toy guns and remote-controlled cars. How can a girl play with such things? To think that you all can even think of such things. Not a single one of them gave me money. If I were to go and host a banquet, I would definitely make a huge loss. What happened to the treasures that you all agreed on? Do you all really need me to speak for you all to understand? In the future, if you all were to give birth to a child and celebrate your birthday, I would immediately come over and not give you anything, you all are too stingy. Downstairs. Lai Gu said with a smile, his honor will definitely like this time. In the past, I always gave you some treasures, and I reckon that his honor is already annoyed by it. That's right, the gifts that I gave you this time are my sincerity, his honor should definitely be very happy. Wei Chang said with a smile. Meanwhile, Absolute Heaven walked to the front of the two madams and said respectfully, Lady Boss, please forgive me for what happened that day. Chapter 439. Donghuang Baiji had also thought about it. If it was really her father who judged the case wrongly, as his daughter, she would definitely wash away the injustice done to the Dongfang family. Those who were involved in the case would definitely not be let off easily. Zhu Tian, is also my junior sister. Treat her well, Qingye said with a slight smile as she looked at Dongfang Yu, who was bashful after hearing Zhu Tian's words. Zhu Tian replied respectfully, Lady Boss, rest assured. This subordinate will definitely take good care of you, and Yen Xan. On the other hand, Dongfang Yuan and Guan Yinxin, who were standing behind Zhu Tian, had their heads lowered. The so-called care that Professor Zhu Tian gave them was simply unimaginable. That's good then, Qingye said with a gentle smile. Qingye had the aura of a respected madam. Dong Huang Baiji, who was at the side, was the same as well. All of the subordinates felt that this was the attitude that His Honor's wife should have, and this was the attitude that His Honor's wife should have. Wei Chang, look at that Dongfang Yu. Lai Gu walked to Wei Chang's side and said in a low voice. Wei Chang said, Zhu Tian's luck with women isn't bad. In the past, he said that he wasn't interested in women, but now, he brought two. There is no such thing as a cat that steals fish in this world. As long as you experience the beauty of a woman, you will be unable to extricate yourself. Wei Chang fell into deep thought after hearing this. He looked at the alluring Tang Bingyao at the side. When would he be able to push her down? It felt like it would take forever. As a single dog, LV Shu stood at the side with a glass of wine in her hand and sighed. Everyone has a wife, either one or two, and the one who has the most is Lai Gu. He has 3 superstar wives. I am so envious of them. Furthermore, that Dongfang Yu is really good. I don't even know what to say about this kind of feeling. Big Boss Absolute Heaven is really lucky. He was extremely unlucky to be targeted by 2 vampires who wanted to suck his blood all the time. It was really annoying. Yi Hua, who was upstairs, lit up a stick of cigarette, then lightly flicked it. A 3-dimensional version of the galaxy appeared in front of Yi Hua. Following the movements of Yi Hua's hands, the galaxy rotated, enlarged, or shrunk. The entire Milky Way galaxy had about 150 to 400 billion stars, and the solar system was just one of the insignificant galaxies. There were more developed galaxies, like the planet that he used to be on. That was the strongest overall and had a very strong fantasy color. But this time, he was accompanying his wife and daughter on a trip. Of course, he wouldn't choose to stay there. In any case, he would go back to take revenge sooner or later. After all, there were only 100 Supremes in the entire galaxy. They would all be wiped out sooner or later. Yi Hua opened up one galaxy after another and searched for his target. Retro Wuxia. Although the environment in Voidless Realm was pretty good, Voidless Realm's environment was more or less the same. Beiji and Li were already familiar with each other. Xianxia World. It seems to be about the same as Voidless Realm. Apocalypse. There were disgusting monsters everywhere. How was this a vacation? It was more like looking for excitement. Yi Hua didn't know where the most technologically advanced planet in the Milky Way galaxy was located. Yi Hua directly searched for the planet, and it felt as if he was searching on Baidu. When a blue planet appeared in front of Yi Hua's eyes, Yi Hua felt that it was a bit interesting. Outside of the planet, there was a huge battleship, while inside the planet, there was a high-tech building that reached the sky, and all of the vehicles were floating in the air. Oh, as expected of the most advanced civilized world, combining technology and martial arts together. Interesting. Qingye and the others had definitely never seen such a world before, and it was also the first time that Yi Hua and the others had seen such a world before. Yi Hua and the others were curious, and thus, Yi Hua and the others decided to bring Qingye and the others to see the world. This is it. Blue blaze dong dong dong. Donghuang Baiji could be seen leisurely walking into the room, then said lightly, Yi Hua, it's almost 12, quickly come down and celebrate your daughter's birthday. Yi Hua stood up, then hugged onto his wife and kissed her. Don't mess around, everyone is waiting downstairs. Donghuang Baiji, who was mesmerized by her husband's kiss, hurriedly stopped him. While hugging onto that willowy waist that everyone was envious of, Yi Hua said faintly, tomorrow, our whole family will go out to play. Where to? It's a secret. Yi Hua smiled mysteriously. Dong Huang Baiji's curiosity was piqued. When he arrived downstairs, he saw a huge cake being pushed out from the side. There were 4 little people on it. It represents his honor's family. Very cute. However, when a group of death gods sang a happy birthday song, it was rather comical. The little princess, Dong Huangli, who was wearing a birthday hat, placed her hands together and made a wish, hoping that Daddy, Mommy, and Ali would be together forever. Who? He blew out the candle. Lai Gu and Zhu Tian both pulled the kaleidoscope, and the atmosphere was very joyous. Yi Hua felt very comfortable just by looking at this scene. Where are the other 3 fellows? Still not coming back to the team yet. Do you need me to go and look for them one by one? At this moment, Yi Hua called Wei Chang and Zhu Tian to the side. I, the Supreme Overlord, will be going out for a few days. The 2 of you will deal with the matters here. If it isn't a big matter, don't contact me. Zhu Tian nodded his head, then asked respectfully, how many days will your honor be going out for? If it's quick, 1 week. If it's slow, 1 month. Subordinate obeys. The 2 replied in unison. Everyone celebrated until 2 a.m., and only then did they return back to their own homes and look for their mothers. The birthday girl had long fallen asleep in her mother's embrace, and Dong Huang Baiji immediately brought her daughter to sleep, not giving Yi Hua any chance. Meanwhile, Yi Hua could only grab onto Qingye, and Qingye was also begging him in every possible way. For the past few days, Qingye had been pestering him every single night. Although Qingye was very happy that her husband was so infatuated with her, but Qingye really didn't know what to say. Qingye just wanted to say, back then, you said that you would only touch a woman once. Look at you, who knows how many times you have touched a woman these past few days. Yi Hua said, I take back my words back then. This caused Qingye to be greatly shocked, and she shouted out that Yi Hua was shameless. And every time when Yi Hua wanted to continue, Qingye would intentionally say that her stomach was not feeling well. Yi Hua knew that Qingye was pretending, and thus, he let her off. However, I still haven't had enough fun, I won't have enough fun for my entire life. The next morning, the family of 4 woke up very early. Dong Huangli was in all kinds of excitement. Daddy and Mommy brought me out to play, what a happy thing this is. Qing Yutong would rather stay at home than go out and take a walk. Of course, when her brother-in-law went to act cool, she would shout out from the side. What are you 2 doing? Yi Hua asked puzzledly. Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji could be seen packing their clothes, and little Ollie also made a small suitcase and stuffed the little doll into it. When we go out, we definitely have to bring clothes. Qingye said. Daddy, Ollie will clean your clothes for you. Yi Hua said faintly, all right, don't clean your clothes, it is not that far away. Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji went into a daze. Dong Huang Li's face immediately became bitter. What? Didn't we agree to go out to play? Why is it not that far away again? Daddy is a liar, Dong Huang Baiji carried on to her daughter and said coquettishly, Yi Hua, how can you lie to your daughter? I have such a bad impression of you. I haven't even finished speaking, and you 2 already gave me the title of a liar. Is this really good? Ollie, you have to listen to Daddy finish speaking, understand? Chapter 440. Because this time, the place that we are going to is a bit far away, and ordinary means of transportation will not be able to reach there. Yi Hua said. Hearing what her daddy said, Dong Huangli immediately became interested. You can't even go there by plane. Of course, it's at a very, very far place. While speaking, Yi Hua even gestured for a bit, causing his daughter to laugh. Not only was Dong Huangli curious, his 2 wives were also curious as well. Yi Hua, just what kind of place is this? Dong Huang Baiji couldn't help but roll her eyes at her husband. Her eyes caused Yi Hua to become a bit restless. He discovered that after being pampered by him, the two of them became even more charming, and every single one of their movements was emitting out a peculiar charm. If he were to bring such lovely wives out, he would definitely have a lot of face. Yi Hua smiled faintly. All of you, close your eyes. Papa, does Ali also want it? Yes. All right then. Yi Hua slowly located the position of Blue Blaze planet. Because the distance was a bit far, he wasn't able to pinpoint the position of Blue Blaze planet very accurately. Bayu. The four of them disappeared from the bedroom. There were still unpacked clothes on the floor, giving people the feeling that they had been kidnapped. The ashen star was huge. It was extremely huge. How big could it be? It was as big as 10,000 Earths. As the saying goes, where there are people, there will be conflicts. Moreover, this was the most developed civilization in the Milky Way galaxy. Although the entire planet was controlled by the Federation, there were many factions under the Federation, fighting openly and secretly. This was a power struggle, it was unavoidable. Papa, are you done? Ali, why do I smell a strange smell? Dong Huangli asked with her big eyes closed. Qinya and Dong Huang Baiji slightly frowned. Why is there a bloody smell? Meanwhile, the corner of Yi Hua's mouth twitched slightly. This scenery is too beautiful, isn't it? The surroundings were filled with corpses, and the smell of blood permeated the air. The two wives immediately opened their eyes, and they were shocked by the scene in front of them. Dong Huangli also opened her eyes, but she didn't say anything, and there wasn't a trace of discomfort on her face. No matter what, she is still a child who had followed her daddy to see big scenes before, and she was completely able to adapt to this kind of scene. Yehua. Qinya and Dong Huang Baiji shouted at their husband. Our daughter is only 3 years old, and you are already bringing her to see this kind of thing. This was indeed a pleasant surprise. Yihua also didn't expect that he would be teleported to such a place. Wow, what a big star! Dong Huangli raised her head and shouted out. Outside the blue sky, there were 3 huge planets that looked like they could fall at any time. If one ignored the corpses on the ground, the scenery was indeed charming. Daddy, where exactly is this place? Dong Huangli asked curiously. Yihua let out a breath and said faintly, this is the most advanced civilized planet in the Milky Way galaxy, Blue Blaze planet. Yihua looked at his wife's small mouth and gulped down a mouthful of saliva. Daddy, how far away are we from home? Dong Huangli was just like a curious baby. Around 50,000 light years. Yihua said faintly. Dong Huangli asked again, how far is 5 light years? Why don't you ask the mommies this question? Yihua looked towards his wives. The father and daughter pair looked towards Qinya and Dong Huang Baiji, and the two women immediately became confused. After waiting for a long while, Dong Huangli pouted her mouth and said, Daddy, Mommy doesn't know. It's better for Papa to tell Ali. Mama doesn't study much, so don't blame them. Yihua. Qinya and Dong Huang Baiji said coquettishly. Who in the world would tease their wives like this in front of their children? Dong Huangli felt that what Yihua said was reasonable. Daddy, don't worry, Ali will study properly in the future. Qinya and Dong Huang Baiji didn't want to say anything anymore. Ali, 30 billion kilometers is 0.003 light years. How far away do you think we are from home? Yihua said faintly. The two wives were clearly shocked. So far away. Yihua added, we just crossed the radius of the entire Milky Way galaxy. After finished speaking, Yihua put on the appearance of a big shot. Do you think that I am very powerful? Quickly come and worship me. Daddy is so powerful. Dong Huangli felt that Yihua was just a little fan of Yihua. Qinya and Donghuang Baiji smiled. They had already seen how powerful their husband was, regardless of which aspect. However, right at this moment, more than 10 black dots appeared in the sky. 10 pitch-black armored machines flew over, and the armored machines looked just like black beetles. In the blink of an eye, the armored machines surrounded Yi Hua and his family. You have been surrounded. Put down your weapons, stop resisting, raise your hands and surrender. One of the aircrafts began issuing a warning. Dong Huangli immediately raised both of her hands. This action of hers is just too cute. Yi Hua, I don't even know what to say to you anymore. Qinya smiled bitterly. You said that you came out for a vacation, but right after you arrived, you are already surrounded. Donghuang Baiji carried on to her daughter who had raised her hands and surrendered. Donghuang Baiji felt a bit helpless. Wow, Daddy is so exciting, it is just like watching a Marvel movie, Ollie likes it so much. Yi Hua snorted coldly, did you hear that? Your daughter likes it this way. Qinya laughed lightly, then asked curiously, then, what do you plan to do? Since they disturbed our family's vacation, we naturally have to get rid of them. This is all a misunderstanding. If you were to get rid of them, we would become wanted criminals. At that time, what would be the point of playing? Qinya lightly held onto her husband's arm and said. Hearing his wife's soft voice, Yi Hua couldn't help but nod his head. Soon after, he came back to his senses. Qinya is actually able to bewitch me, formidable. You have misunderstood, we are. Before Qinya could finish her words, 6 guided missiles came whistling towards Yi Hua from afar. Yi Hua felt that these were not ordinary guided missiles, spiritual energy was contained within the guided missiles. As expected of a planet where technology and martial arts are fused together, this is a bit interesting. Boom boom boom. 6 loud explosions rang out in the sky, and the missiles turned into 6 huge fireballs that smashed onto the ground. Donghuang Li's big eyes were filled with excitement. This is what a vacation is like. Those 4 aircrafts could be seen immediately turning around and returning. Seems like we have met with people that we can't afford to offend. 2 black dots gradually appeared in the sky. Those were 2 small-sized warships. Even if they were small-sized warships, they were still as big as an aircraft carrier. The warships slowly stopped not far away from the warships, and a large amount of dust was raised. There were quite a few people that came down from the warships, and all of them were wearing the same uniform. The last one that came down from the warship was a rather handsome female military officer. Yi Hua took a glance at the female military officer. What are you looking at? What is there to look at? Donghuang Baiji reminded her husband in a low voice, to not peek at other women. Yi Hua felt helpless. Everything about the two of us is good, but when I look at other women, I feel as if I have already used my gaze to disrespect other women. The female military officer could be seen walking towards Yi Hua along with several hundred fully armed soldiers. Soon after, the warship stopped not far away from the warships. Yi Hua was very curious. Just what are you all trying to do? Don't have any bad thoughts, if not, you all will die. Swoosh. Chapter 441. The female officer shouted, "Thank you, sir, for protecting the bodies of our soldiers." "Get up, there's no need to thank me," Yi Hua said indifferently, and he had an unfathomable look on his face. Qinya and Donghuang Baiji blushed with shame. It's starting again. I have clearly just arrived here. Wow, Papa is showing off again. He's so powerful. Ollie should learn more from him. The female military officer looked at Yi Hua's face, and her face slightly reddened. What a handsome man. When he looked at the women on both sides, he thought, what beautiful women. Their looks and temperament are really incomparable. Seeing the female military officer's gaze, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji immediately became vigilant. If you are here to snatch our man, then don't blame us for being ruthless. Hello, sir. I am Shi Tingting, a member of the aristocratic party. This place is still very dangerous. Please follow me, sir. Dong Huangli said with a smile on her face, Big sister, you are a good person. Looking at Dong Huangli's adorable smile, Shi Tingting revealed a trace of a smile on her face. When the soldiers behind Dong Huangli saw that their chief officer actually smiled, all of them were very surprised. Yi Hua said faintly, all right then. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji immediately held onto Yi Hua's arm and declared their ownership to everyone. Thank you for your understanding, sir. After saying that, Shi Tingting raised her hand, and the soldiers collected all the corpses on the ground. The two battleships immediately retreated. Not long after they left, an even larger battleship appeared. Looking at the person who had already disappeared, a man shouted angrily, damn it, he actually ran away. A bunch of trash. This was a trap. Originally, 10 armed spaceships would have been able to take care of it. However, 4 people had suddenly appeared. That was why 6 of the spaceships had been killed. After boarding the warship, Shi Tingting arranged a first-class cabin for Yi Hua's family of 4. Every part of the cabin was filled with the feeling of technology. Qingye muttered, with this kind of technology, who knows how many years it would take for us to be able to develop it. It should be from several hundred to over 1,000 years ago. Donghuang Baiji said gravely. I have only seen these things in movies before, this is too mystical. With a swoosh, the door immediately opened, and Shi Tingting, who had changed into a dress, could be seen appearing at the door. Don't say, her figure was quite hot. Such an action was undoubtedly provoking Qingye and Donghuang Baiji. Sir, madam, sorry to disturb you. Shi Tingting appeared to be very polite. Towards polite people, Yi Hua wouldn't make things too difficult for him. Sitting at the bedside, Yi Hua said faintly, Pardon me for asking, but do you practice martial arts? However, in the eyes of Qingye and Donghuang Baiji, Shi Tingting was trying to seduce their husband. In any case, other than themselves, all the other girls who were talking to their husband were all harboring evil intentions. I guess so. Ali also cultivates martial arts. Donghuang Baiji carried her daughter into her embrace and said lightly, all right, Ali, don't disturb daddy and big sister's conversation. A trace of an arc appeared on the corner of Yi Hua's mouth. I often say that I'm the king of vinegar, but your empress's vinegar is also very sour. Shi Tingting was a little embarrassed. Sir, I'm being rude. May I ask what your level is? Level? Yes, sir, you must be a traveler. Here, the levels are divided into martial disciple, martial artist, martial knight, martial master, martial king, martial emperor, martial spirit, and martial venerable. Each level has 10 grades. Shi Tingting explained. Yi Hua paused for a moment, then, I shouldn't be among them. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were speechless. You actually dare to act cool in front of big sister, are you thinking that we are old? Qingye said with a slight smile, I'm really sorry, my husband likes to joke around a bit. In actuality, he is a martial artist. Her meaning was very clear. My husband is too trash, so don't have any ideas about him. However, the truth wasn't like that. Ah. Sir, are you really a martial artist? Can you do me a favor? Shi Tingting, who was excited, immediately went forward and held onto Yi Hua's hand. The corners of Qingye and Donghuang Baiji's mouth twitched. Donghuang Li turned around and covered her face. Mommy's expression is so scary. Creak, creak. The titanium alloy armrest on the side of the bed was deformed by the two women's hands, and it was about to go berserk. Shi Tingting immediately reacted and retreated a few steps back. Madam, I'm sorry, I was too excited just now. Looking at the titanium alloy armrest that was deformed into a fried dough twist, Shi Tingting was incomparably shocked. Madam, may I ask what your level is? Martial artist. That's great. Shi Tingting seemed very excited, as if she was saved. In actuality, the three of them had long broken away from the division of levels. Even if a martial venerable came, they would be able to kill that martial venerable with a single finger. But it seems like, even a martial artist can be very popular in this place. Are there very few martial artists here? Donghuang Baiji asked curiously. Shi Tingting let out a breath. Madam, practicing martial arts is very hard, it also requires talent, and also a lot of resources. Our Blue Blaze planet is a planet that mainly focuses on technology. With a set of top-notch armor, one would be able to defeat a martial disciple. However, if one were to become a martial artist, even in the main city, one would still have a place to stand. Martial disciple. Martial artist. Your planet is so weak, is this really good? Then, are there martial kings? Yihua asked curiously. Hearing Yihua mentioning about martial kings, Shi Tingting immediately panicked. Sir, martial kings are godlike existences. In the entire Blue Blaze planet, there are only 3 martial kings, and they live in the imperial city and are revered by tens of thousands of people. In actuality, every world had its own division of strength, and Blue Blaze planet was divided according to an average. If one had to compare, then the 10th rank martial artist here would probably be as strong as Xiao Yi. If not, how could martial kings be revered by tens of thousands of people? From this, it could be seen just how big the gap between the two of them was. However, the number of people who practice martial arts in Blue Blaze planet was still very little, and this made the planet even more of a product of power struggle. However, even if this was the case, there was nothing to be afraid of, because Yihua knew that this planet was also controlled by a god. Even an overlord would be killed like a chicken, let alone a martial king. Just a clown, the supreme overlord would be able to take his head from 1,000 miles away. Alright, tell me what you want. Yihua said. Shi Tingting slightly leaned her body, and immediately, her white skin was revealed. Creak, creak. This is the sound of a titanium alloy being twisted into a super fried dough twist. After bowing deeply, Shi Tingting said gravely, although I am from the aristocratic faction, my strength is too weak, and these 2 spaceships are the only weapons that my family has. Therefore, the aristocratic faction wanted to remove my title. When this news was leaked out, my family was attacked by the main faction, and my father and brother died in battle, leaving me alone. What a pitiful big sister. Donghuang Li really wanted to go over and comfort her. Meanwhile, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji felt that there was a bit of a problem with the last sentence. This is a crazy hint. Selling my body to bury my father. So? Yihua asked faintly. Sir, I know that this matter is very difficult, but I still hope that you can make a trip with me, and after that, prove your identity as a martial artist. All the aristocratic factions wanted to have a friend like a martial artist, and this was also a measure of one's relationship network. Chapter 442. With a plop, Shi Tingting immediately knelt on the ground. Sir, if you can help my family escape this crisis, Shi Tingting, swear to the martial honor that I am willing to be your servant and serve you. Yihua looked towards his 2 wives. Look. Right now, I, the Supreme Overlord, am in hot demand. Don't you guys have any sense of crisis? Qingye and Baiji stood up and helped Shi Tingting up, and Qingye said with a smile, Miss, your words are too serious. My husband was just joking with you, we will help him. Thank you so much, sir and madam. I, Shi Tingting, will remember your kindness. Yihua took a deep breath, then said faintly, you can leave first. Yes, sir. After Shi Tingting left, the room was filled with a sour smell. Yihua carried his daughter and said with a smile, Ollie, what if mommy gets jealous? Kiss mama, even his daughter knew about it. Who's jealous of you? Ollie, don't listen to your daddy, come to mommy's embrace. Dong Huang Baiji stretched out her hand and hugged onto her daughter. Yihua said faintly, we are here to travel, and yet, you guys are here to interfere in other people's dispute. Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji immediately realized that what they had done just now was wrong. Weren't we just jealous? Adding on the fact that the other party is also quite pitiful, furthermore, this isn't a difficult thing to do, all I have to do is to prove my strength. In Yihua's opinion, a woman's hair is long but her knowledge is short. If he went to show off, there would definitely be people eyeing him. Would he still be able to travel with peace of mind? However, the two women also pondered for a moment. They really didn't think about what they did just now. Yihua, we're sorry, we didn't consider things thoroughly. The two women apologized to their husbands. Yihua stretched out his hand and pinched onto his wife's cheeks. You too, don't be jealous and use your brains more. In actuality, when Yihua wasn't by their side, Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji were very smart. However, as long as they were together with Yihua, it would be as if they had someone to rely on. They wouldn't think about anything else other than accompanying their husband, taking care of him, and loving him. Actually, a woman in love has a negative IQ. Mommy, you can be at ease, Daddy will definitely not leave the two of you. Dong Huangli also cheered for her mommy. The two girls giggled. They felt that they were indeed a little stingy and easily jealous. In actuality, if it was Yihua, he might have already made a move to exterminate them. He was not called the jealous king of the cultivation world for nothing. The warship entered a military base outside of the city, and Shitingting arranged a car for them. Shitingting brought Yihua's family of 4 back to the manor to have a meal, and in the afternoon, they would go to the home of martial arts. Sitting on the hover car and feeling the comfort of the seat, Yihua said faintly, this car is much better than the one at home. Shitingting, who was sitting in the front row, turned around and smiled. Sir, if you like it, I'll arrange one for you. Forget it, my world doesn't have such technology. Yihua didn't want to participate in this kind of world's revolution. The era had to progress slowly, and being too fast wasn't a good thing. Shitingting seemed to understand and didn't say anything else. Wow, what's that? Papa, is that a giraffe? Right now, the convoy was traveling outside the city, and in the outer city, there were a lot of wild animals. This was one of the big characteristics of wild animals, and Yihua wanted to bring his daughter to have a look at these wild animals. A gigantic creature walked beside them. Its neck was more than 10 meters long, and its body was enormous. From time to time, it would let out a deep roar. Ollie, that is a spirit flame, a large herbivore. Shitingting introduced the spirit flame carefully. Clearly, Shitingting was already familiar with Ollie. Dong Huangli mumbled, the dragon that Daddy found is indeed formidable. Yihua, this is cheating me. What dragon is that? Dong Huang Baiji asked curiously. Dong Huangli immediately reacted to what Dong Huang Baiji said, oh, the big dragon doll that Daddy bought for Ollie. It's so formidable. Dong Huang Baiji laughed lightly, then kissed onto her daughter's cheek, causing Ollie to be extremely happy. Daddy, that blue light is so beautiful. Dong Huangli pointed towards the blue shockwave that was coming from afar. Shitingting's pupils gradually enlarged, then shouted out, retreat. Retreat. However, it was already too late. Boom. The blue shockwave fiercely collided onto the hover car, giving off a dazzling light. The two cars in front and behind were instantly engulfed by the shockwave. The battleship that Yihua saw just now could be seen slowly appearing in the sky. More than 10 figures flew over and started observing the situation. When the flames disappeared, Yihua's 2 hover cars were completely unscathed, not even the paint on the cars had fallen off. Shitingting, who was at the front, was dumbstruck. What just happened? Why didn't I die? Could it be that I received the protection of the martial king? Yihua turned his head around and looked towards his two wives. The two wives lowered their heads slightly. It was clear that they knew that they were in the wrong. Yihua opened the door and walked out of the car. Yihua stood in the sky, while Qingye and Donghuang Baiji followed closely behind him. Gao Yi was that flustered and exasperated man from just now. Unresigned, he actually chose to block the road and assassinate Yihua. Although he had violated the law, he still did it. Who are you all? Where is Shitingting? Gao Yi shouted out angrily towards Yihua. Chapter 443. Vice Captain. 5 seconds left. Don't worry about 5 seconds. Jump now. Vice Captain, that will cause damage. Just jump when I tell you to. What's with all the nonsense? With a "bite" sound, the entire battleship seemed to have been sucked away by space and disappeared in an instant, while 3 purple lights flew into the sky. Did not hit the target, the Empress had failed. The Empress was very angry. Yihua patted on Donghuang Baiji's shoulder and secretly clenched his right hand. You want to leave? How could this be? The battleship that was in the middle of jumping was wrapped by an unknown force. The hard protective armor outside seemed to be squeezed by something and instantly deformed and caved in. Boom, boom, boom. The battleship could not withstand the pressure and exploded in the spacetime black hole. Yihua's hands were even more awesome than the infinity gloves. The 3 continued to board the car, and Yihua said faintly, "Let's go." Oh, yes. Shitingting swallowed her saliva. As expected of a martial artist. Too amazing. As an ordinary person, Shitingting couldn't feel the fluctuations of aura at all. She thought they were all martial artists. Very soon, the floating car entered the city district. Qingye, Donghuang Baiji, and Donghuang Li were all attracted by the city that was filled with technology. It was just like watching a sci-fi movie. There were many strange species walking on the streets, and there was actually someone who looked like an octopus. Wow, Mommy, look, it's Donald Duck. Donghuang Li was very excited. This is what a vacation is like. Daddy is so formidable. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were very happy as well, and they looked just like happy little girls. Yihua displayed the sitting posture of a big boss. However, his gaze was also sizing up the city in front of him. This city is indeed not bad. However, the bodies of my wives are even better. Yihua stealthily hugged onto Qingye and Donghuang Baiji's willowy waist and lightly rubbed against them. The 2 wives' faces were about to bleed. This bastard is becoming more and more perverted. Sir, let's go eat first, Shitingting said. Yihua nodded his head. Indeed, I didn't eat breakfast when I went out today. The hover car flew to the tallest building in the city. When it flew to the side, a window of the building stretched out, and the hover car stopped on top of it. The 5 of them got out. Shitingting pressed the shell of the car, and the whole car turned into a capsule. This technique was quite awesome. Sir, are you satisfied? Shitingting asked carefully. Yihua swept his gaze across the people on this floor. What are you trash looking at? My woman is just this beautiful. If you have the guts, then go ahead and try taking liberties with her. Unfortunately, Yihua is going to be disappointed. There is actually not a single long outyin among these people. Boring, boring. These people were all pointing at Shitingting and whispering. Shitingting knew what they were talking about and said in a low voice, Sir, I'm so sorry. Nothing, where do you want to sit? Yihua said faintly. All of them were salted fishes, and at the very most, they were the kind of salted fishes that were of a higher level, and they even had some brains. Daddy, let's sit next to the window. Ollie wants to look at the scenery. Dong Wangli pulled onto the corner of her father's clothes, then pointed towards the seat that was beside the window and was currently empty. Indeed, the scenery would be pretty good. What does it matter if my daughter wants a seat? Even if my daughter wants the entire blue blaze star, this sovereign will satisfy my daughter. But if it was a son, he would fight for it with his own ability. Right now, Yihua also had the thought of raising a daughter from the rich and raising a son from the poor. It seems like I am also poor. In actuality, Yihua neglected one thing, and that's right. On Earth, my wives have plenty of money, but on Blue Blaze Star, RMB isn't useful anymore. In other words, if I have to take on the responsibility of earning money, will I, the Supreme Overlord, go and earn money? Don't think too much about it. Therefore, Yihua reluctantly helped Shi Tingting. In exchange, Yihua felt that he should let Shi Tingting pay for the expenses of this trip. Sir, that seat won't do. Shi Tingting said anxiously. Yihua turned his head around and took a look at Shi Tingting, then said faintly, at my place, there is nothing that won't do. What a handsome man. Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji smiled but didn't say anything. Even if they are going to travel, they still have to act cool. The five of them sat down, and Dong Huangli lied on the side of the big transparent window. While looking at the strange world in front of her, a cute smile appeared on Dong Huangli's face. Daddy, it's so beautiful, Dong Huangli mumbled. This city was indeed out of the ordinary when matched with the three huge satellites in the sky. This was all artificially adjusted beauty, and it had the most scientific basis. All of the plants and the layout of the buildings in the city were all a kind of aesthetic. Suddenly, a man who was holding onto a stack of paper, with a humble smile on his face, began handing out leaflets. Very quickly, the leaflet arrived at Yihua's table. The man took out a piece of paper and placed it on the table, then said with a smile, Space Administration, 5 social insurance and 1 housing fund, with double holidays and annual leave, please understand it. Right after the man finished speaking, 3 to 4 soldiers who were wearing high-tech armor walked over, grabbed onto the man, then took off the man's clothes and left. Yihua picked up the leaflet and took a look. The nature of the job is rather interesting. Apprehend space-time criminals. The nature of the job in this space administration is pretty good. Why is there a need to employ this kind of method to recruit people? Yihua asked curiously. Shi Tingting said respectfully, Sir, there is something you don't know, but the job in the space administration is very dangerous. Furthermore, I have to go on a business trip all year round, and it is hard to say if I will be able to come back alive. Adding on the fact that the treatment is bad and the pension is low, I might as well stay on this planet and be a policeman. Qingye asked curiously, why not increase the treatment? The space administration is sent by the royal family. Most of the profits from the space administration are taken away by the royal family, and the remaining profits are insignificant. Yihua paused for a moment, then asked, You are from the aristocratic faction, and right now, there is still the royal family faction. What other factions are there? Sir, there is still the bishop faction. The one who attacked us today is the bishop faction, and they are in the imperial city. Every single faction has a martial king overseeing it, and their strength is very terrifying. Yihua let out an "oh," expressing his fear. Sir, I am really sorry, because of my matter, you all offended the bishop faction, and I am going to be kicked out of the aristocratic faction. I have disturbed Sir's travel plans. Shi Tingting expressed her apology for bringing trouble to Yihua and his family. Dong Wangli stood on the sofa and said with a smile, Big sister Shi, you don't have to worry, Daddy is very formidable. Shi Tingting laughed. Martial artists are indeed very formidable, but that is only in this kind of small city. If one were to go to the imperial city, martial artists are nothing much. Yo, let me see who it is. So it is Shi Tingting. Don't you know that this seat is specially reserved for me, Feng Lulan? A sarcastic remark could be heard, and a well-developed woman could be seen holding onto a handsome man's arm. And when that man saw Qingye and Donghuang Baiji, he was clearly shocked. How can there be such a beautiful woman in the world? Chapter 444. You guys are martial artists. Feng Wulan's expression could be seen immediately changing, and she asked with a fawning look on her face. From this, it could be seen how popular martial artists were. If Xiao Yi knew that martial artists were so popular here, he would definitely stay here and develop himself. Yihua didn't say anything, and Donghuang Baiji, who was the empress, also didn't say anything. Only Qingye spoke on behalf of the family. That's right. Qingye said faintly. Donghuang Li also pointed at herself and said, Ali is also a martial artist. Feng Wulan was shocked. Not only was Feng Wulan shocked, everyone who was from the aristocratic faction was also shocked. They didn't expect that Shi Tingting, who was about to be banished, would actually bring 4 martial artists here to have a meal. Right now, no one dared to look down on Shi Tingting anymore. Paw! A loud and clear sound of a slap rang out in the dining hall. Everyone looked at Feng Wulan. When this woman becomes ruthless, she's simply inhumane. Yihua and the others were also very confused. Everything was clearly fine. Why did you suddenly slap your own man? Look at that man, he was holding on to his face, completely stupefied, completely unable to understand why he suddenly slapped himself. Feng Wulan smiled toward Shi Tingting and said, Tingting, this man deserves to die, he actually dared to seduce me. Fortunately, I noticed some clues just now and didn't continue to be fooled by him. Shi Tingting sneered. The man shouted out that he was wronged. I didn't do anything just now, and you slapped me for no reason at all, and you even said that I seduced you. Simply too shameless. Who seduced you? Feng Wulan, it was obviously you who seduced me. Tingting, listen to my explanation. The man could be seen kneeling in front of Shi Tingting and begging. He knew that Shi Tingting was about to rise up. Feng Wulan said, Tingting, don't ever believe this man's words, his mouth is full of sweet words. Although he was your fiancé in the past, he actually shamelessly seduced me, making me feel ashamed. This man was indeed Shi Tingting's fiancé in the past, until he was seduced by Feng Wulan. When he had nothing to do, he would bring his male pet to show off, and today was also the same. Just that he saw that there was a martial artist beside Shi Tingting. It could be seen that martial artists were truly popular. Tingting, don't listen to his nonsense, it was this woman who drugged me, that's why I did something that let you down, and she even threatened me, saying that if I don't kneel down and lick her, she will beat me up. Feng Wulan yelled, Men, drag him out and beat the shit out of him. Fulfill his wish. Instantly, a few fully armed men in mechas walked over and dragged the man away. However, the man was still struggling. Ting, I know I was wrong. Please save me. I won't dare to do it again. I'll serve you well. However, Shi Tingting ignored them. She could still vividly remember how the two of them had treated her. This kind of man was only handsome, and this powerful noblewoman was completely played with like a dog. After playing with him enough, she would just kill him like this. It was the same in every world. The strong were respected, and the weak were food. Honorable martial artists, I'm really sorry for disturbing your meal. You can eat whatever you want, it's all on me. Tingting, take good care of the martial artists. This Feng Wulan was also a smart woman. She knew that her first impression of Yihua wasn't very good. Thus, she didn't directly start a conversation with Yihua. Instead, she expressed her apology and complimented the martial artists. Mister, this is my name card. If you have any questions, you can contact me. My 9949 holographic phone will protect you 24/7. Yihua accepted Feng Wulan's name card. This made the latter very happy, and she left happily. The reason why I accepted this name card is to prepare for when I don't need it. If the traveling expenses are not enough, at least there will be someone to count the money and pay for me. That would be my greatest honor. Mister, this woman is very good at lying. Seeing that Yi Hua accepted the name card, Shi Tingting still stopped, in case her mister was lied to. The corner of Yi Hua's mouth curved up, and he said indifferently, only the two of them can lie to me. Qin Ye and Dong Huang Baiji rolled their eyes at their husband. You are obviously the one who lied to us. And you still have the cheek to say that we lied to you, you are so shameless. Shi Tingting felt that their relationship is really good. They are really a match made in heaven. They are incomparably perfect. Even their daughter is so cute and obedient. Very quickly, various kinds of dishes were served. Needless to say, the dishes tasted really good. The heat was just right. When it should be tender, when it should be loose, when it should be tight, when it should be tight. Advanced civilization sure is good. I reckon that this chef is a robot, right? If we don't consider the nutritional value, the taste is indeed not bad. So spicy, 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 Dong Huangli shouted out to her mother. Right now, Dong Huang Baiji also had Voidless Realm's mineral water, Bejeweled Jade Immortal Dew, with her. In case the child gets thirsty, the spiciness will help them quench their thirst. Dong Huang Baiji could be seen grabbing at the air, and a bottle of Yi Bao appeared in her hands. This move of hers made Shi Tingting stupefied. What kind of spatial technology is this? This family of theirs is really mystical. It feels as if they are not afraid of anything at all. Furthermore, Mr. is bringing two such beautiful wives with him, isn't he afraid that something might happen? After all, their beauty is truly enviable. Mommy, help Ollie open the bottle. Ollie's hands are covered in oil. Ollie waved his hands. So spicy, Dong Huang Baiji smiled gently and opened the bottle. An enchanting fragrance emitted out from the bottle of Yi Bao mineral water, and the fragrance quickly filled the entire dining hall. Everyone closed their eyes and enjoyed this moment of comfort. Their minds felt incomparably relaxed, and it was as if all of the worries in their minds had vanished into thin air. Shi Tingting, who was the closest to the bottle, was able to sense this fragrance even more. Furthermore, this fragrance seems to be familiar to Shi Tingting. I remember back then when I went to the imperial capital with my father. I was fortunate enough to stand among the crowd and see the emperor. And back then, the emperor seemed to have opened a bottle of national wine for the sake of celebrating. According to the legends, the national wine had been stored for over 1,000 years. When the national wine was opened, it was also this fragrance that made everyone present feel intoxicated. Everyone looked towards the direction of the national wine. After all, the dining hall was only so big, and they would be able to find the national wine very quickly. Is that the national wine? One of the aristocrats muttered. How can it be the national wine? That is the emperor's most valuable treasure. Unless it is a major festival or a celebration, the emperor would not take out the national wine. That's right, the current martial king viewed a small bottle of national wine as a treasure. However, this fragrance is indeed as described, it makes one feel intoxicated. Dong Huang Baiji pinched onto her daughter's face and said dotingly, "Stretch out your hand." Dong Huangli stretched out her pair of small hands. However, Dong Huang Baiji took the bottle and poured the water out. When everyone saw Dong Huang Baiji's action, they widened their eyes. This is too much of a spendthrift. This spendthrift woman, she actually used this kind of water to wash her daughter's hands. Chapter 445. Dong Huangli washed her hands clean, then held onto Yi Bao with both of her hands. Gulp, gulp, he drank an entire bottle in one go. Burp so cool, looking at her daughter's adorable look, Dong Huang Baiji stretched out her hand and smoothed her daughter's hair. No matter what, we are still outside, I have to pay attention to my image. Dong Huang Baiji took out another bottle. Shi Tingting, who was sitting opposite, was dumbfounded. No wonder he used it to wash his hands. All the nobles also discovered that the beautiful woman actually had a lot of such things. Should I buy a bottle? Qingya opened the bottle cap and personally poured a cup for Shi Tingting. This caused Shi Tingting to be very terrified as she took the cup with both of her hands and received it. When the nobles saw that Shi Tingting could drink such wine, they were simply envious and jealous. Shi Tingting felt very honored. Their family was really nice. Shi Tingting took a sip of the water. This kind of feeling was like being in the sea. His body and mind were completely relaxed, and the joy of the brain was incomparable. This was the sublimation of the soul. No. I can't drink anymore. Sir, I don't want to drink anymore. Yi Hua slightly wrinkled his brows. Not giving me any face at all. Shi Tingting didn't finish her sentence. I want to store it and drink it slowly in the future. Yi Hua's brows gradually unfurrowed. To them, this water might be a treasure, but to me, this water is merely something that I can use to wash my daughter's hands. Voidless Realm spring water is truly one of a kind. Perhaps, even in the entire Milky Way galaxy, there wouldn't be so many spring water. It would be a lie to say that they weren't envious. Some of the nobles began to whisper and discuss bad things. After dinner, Shi Tingting brought Yi Hua and his family to martial arts home. Every city has a martial arts home that provides tests and assessments. The rating is produced in the martial arts home. The higher the rank, the bigger the city, the smaller the city. Of course, this is only for the Blue Blaze Star, because this small city is as big as a province. But small cities like this were quite common on the Blue Blaze Star. Looking at the 2-story tall martial arts home in front of him, Yi Hua felt that this martial arts home was a bit too shabby. Sir, this is a small place. There aren't many people who learn martial arts here, so the scale looks very ordinary. Shi Tingting explained. Compared to the other buildings, this martial arts house was indeed shabby, but there were a lot of people going in and out. There are humans, and there are also other races. This is truly an eye-opener. I wonder if I will be able to see Wei Chang's relatives. Mommy, do you think that if I take a photo with those strange uncles, will they pay any attention to Ali? Dong Huangli hugged onto her mother's thigh and looked at those aliens. Right now, Dong Huangli really wanted to go and take a photo with those aliens. Dong Huang Baiji smiled. Ali, you're asking politely. But, Ali is shy, she doesn't dare to go. Dong Huangli buried her face into her mother's thigh. Don't be fooled by Ali's carefree demeanor. When it came to other races, it was still very shy. Walking into the home of martial arts, the atmosphere was a bit heavy. Bang! With a muffled sound, the result of the test came. Lu Feifei, Martial Disciple Grade 1. Vast Green, Primary Martial Disciple. Hai Xiao Xiao, Martial Disciple. But if you think they will be disappointed, you are wrong. Even if he was just a beginner martial disciple, it also symbolized that his future path would lead to a martial king. Therefore, he was very happy and felt that he would be able to stand at the peak of the world and look down on everyone. However, they did not know the hardships of the path of cultivation. Some people cultivated to the level of a martial artist and were stuck their entire lives, unable to advance any further. Some people even gave up because they were afraid of being tired. In short, the road of martial arts was very difficult, but as long as one stood out, it would be a matter of bringing honor to one's ancestors. For poor children, that was their only chance. However, in this room, there were many people dressed in luxurious clothes. They were also waiting in line for the test. Along with Yi Hua entering the venue, a few groups of people followed behind him. From the looks of it, there were already people who had ill intentions. Of course, Yi Hua was aware of that. They can follow me as they please, as long as they don't do anything to me. Hee, then prepare to receive my wrath. Ollie, go and give it a try. Yihua changed his mind at the last moment and decided to let Ollie practice. Okay, Papa, Dong Huangli responded, then went to the back of the line. A staff member walked to the side and asked Dong Huangli, Sir, Ollie. Shi Tingting was a little worried. Qingye said faintly, you can be at ease. Dong Huangli, who was standing in the crowd, looked very short. Because most of the people in the crowd were adults, only a few of them looked like youngsters. However, there wasn't a single child in the crowd. An adult could be seen walking to the front of the machine, taking a deep breath, then shouted out. Then, the adult punched towards the machine. Bang! Failed, next. When the adult heard the result, a dejected look appeared on his face. I didn't expect that after cultivating for so long, would still fail like this. At this moment, there were a few machines that were testing at the same time. A man dressed in luxurious clothes could be seen walking onto the stage. Who is that? Yihua asked curiously. Shi Tingting said, Sir, that is Gao family's young master, the person who attacked us today is his older brother. Bang! Following a muffled sound. The staff member announced, Gao Can, third-rank martial disciple. The crowd went into an uproar. As expected of Gao family's young master, he is already a third-rank martial disciple at such a young age. I heard that his older brother, Gao Yi, is also a martial artist. This main sect is incredible, they even stole away the limelight. Gao Can is so handsome. Gao Can, who was on the stage, swung his head, causing a few females to scream out continuously. At this moment, another man walked onto the stage. The man was dressed in ordinary clothes, but the crowd's reaction was very strange. Yihua felt very curious and asked, Who is he? Sir, he is from the royal family, his name is Zhou Zhiye. In the past, he was also very impressive, reaching 5th rank martial disciple at such a young age. He could be said to be the youngster with the most potential of the year, but for some reason, he suddenly became weak and fell down from the altar, thus losing the support of his family. After Shi Tingting explained, Qingye and Dong Wang Baiji felt that this youngster had quite a bit of perseverance, he did not get knocked down by the difficulties. After listening to Zhou Zhiye's story, Yihua didn't think much about it. In any case, it was just a story of a hard-working youngster who finally reached the peak of his life after going through untold hardships. Too cliché. Zhou Zhiye slowly walked up the stairs, and behind him, some people were ridiculing him. I remember that in the past, they would always follow behind him and bootlick him. Young Master Zhou, don't waste your effort, in any case, isn't it better to just eat and wait for death? Ha ha ha, that's right, young Master Zhou, you are already no longer the genius Zhou of the past. Chapter 446. Zhou Zhiye listened to the ridiculing voices. Zhou Zhiye clenched his fists. These are all despicable people. When I recover my strength, I will let them know how powerful I am. Zhou Zhiye stood in the horse stance and clenched his right fist, then shouted out, Ah! Bang! Everyone was waiting for the result to be announced. The strength of that punch seems to be quite strong. Could it be that this Zhou Zhiye recovered his strength? Zhou Zhiye, beginner martial disciple. The crowd started booing. I thought that this Zhou Zhiye had risen to power, but it turns out that he is still the same. Hey, Zhou Zhiye, I heard that if you continue to be like this today, Shi family will break off the engagement. What a pity for Shi family Shi Sihan. That's right, whoever follows such a trash would definitely not be able to stand it. Dong Huangli felt that the big brother on the stage was rather pitiful, being ridiculed by everyone. However, Dong Huangli admired the big brother's endurance. It seems like he has already gotten used to it. Zhou Jie looked at the group of despicable people coldly and shouted out angrily, "Life is full of ups and downs, don't bully the young for being poor." Zhou Jie's words were very imposing, causing everyone to go into a daze. However, after a short while, the crowd burst into laughter. Gao Kan pointed at Zhou Jie and shouted out, "Look at this idiot, acting cool here even though he doesn't have the strength. Hurry up and go back, she family has already broken off the engagement with your family. You should save those words for your fiancé." Ha ha ha. After Gao Kan finished speaking, the crowd burst into laughter once again. Zhou Jie's face became gloomy as he memorized the faces of those who were laughing. "I will settle the scores with all of them in the future." After snorting coldly, Zhou Jie walked down the stage and walked outside. Bang! It was unknown who tripped Zhou Jie, causing him to fall on his face. Everyone burst into laughter once again. Zhou Jie was so angry that his chest was about to explode. "These trash. Wait till I recover my strength, I will make you pay for what you did today. Big brother, are you all right?" A pleasant voice sounded out. Zhou Jie slowly raised his head and saw a little girl who was wearing a princess dress in front of him. The little girl's gaze was filled with concern. Facing the little girl's concern, Zhou Jie felt that it was ironic. Since when did a little girl like me have the right to care about me? Zhou Jie stood up and said coldly, "It's none of your business." Dong Guangli pouted her mouth, then walked back into the group. Right now, Dong Guangli finally understood why everyone wanted to bully him. Looking at her unhappy daughter, Dong Guang Baiji held onto Yi Hua's arm and said, "Yi Hua, our daughter is angry." Qingya was a bit unhappy too, my pitiful little Ollie. He clearly wanted to do a good deed, but in the end, the other party didn't appreciate his kindness. Yi Hua did not say anything. Not all good deeds will be rewarded with good deeds. My daughter also has to understand this point. Why would I be ridiculed by everyone? This is not without reason. The person who was standing in front of Dong Guangli was a young girl. Compared to everyone present, the young girl could be considered to be the youngest. The young girl's appearance was pretty good, and she could be counted as a beauty. The woman turned around and crouched down, comforting him, "Don't be sad, I've encountered it before." "Is that so?" Dong Guangli raised her head and asked adorably. Seeing how cute Dong Guangli was, the girl said with a smile, "Of course, there are a lot of them. So there are many such things." Ollie understands now. "Ollie, what's your name?" the girl asked curiously. "My name is Dong Guangli, big sister, what is your name?" The girl smiled and said, "My surname is Ziche and my name is Qingyi." Dong Guangli appeared to be very polite as she stretched out her hand and said, "So it's big sister Qingyi, hello, little Ollie," Ish Qingyi said with a faint smile. "Ollie, did you come alone?" Dong Guangli shook her head, then pointed at her parents who were not far away from her. "I didn't, Daddy and Mommy came with me." Zish Qingyi looked over and saw Yi Hua and the others. Soon after, Zish Qingyi asked curiously, "Ollie has been practicing martial arts at such a young age. So powerful." Dong Guangli said proudly, "Of course, Ollie has been practicing martial arts since she was a child." Zish Qingyi smiled but didn't say anything. "You're already so young, so how young are you going to be?" Ollie's parents probably just wanted to train their child. "Little guy, being able to punch through a piece of paper with your little fist is already not bad." A young man standing at the side laughed. Zish Qingyi looked at the man and said, "Fei Bai. You're so shameless to bully a little girl." Fei Bai was a delicate-looking boy, and he was also one of the young people present. "Qingyi, I'm just speaking the truth, isn't that right, everyone?" Fei Bai spread out his hands, and some of the people around him nodded their heads. "What kind of strength can a little girl have?" Dong Huangli pouted her small mouth and had a very angry look on her face. If it wasn't for Daddy and Mommy watching, I would have punched him right now and let him know that not only can all Lee's little fist punch through a piece of paper, it can also punch through your body. Little fellow, it's better for you to go into Daddy and Mommy's embrace. This is the world of adults, it's very dangerous. Fei Bai laughed, then walked onto the stage. Of course, there was also Zish Qingyi. Zish Qingyi took a deep breath, shouted delicately, and punched out. Boom! Zish Qingyi. Third rank martial disciple. Everyone present went into an uproar. To be able to reach third rank martial disciple at such a young age, this is truly amazing. As expected of Zish Qingyi, this proud daughter of heaven. Fei Bai, who was at the side, was not to be outdone either, and his entire body actually emitted out faint spiritual energy. This time, the entire place became silent. Spiritual energy actually leaked out. Bang! This sound caused everyone's ears to go numb. Fei Bai. Fourth rank martial disciple. Everyone was no longer able to remain calm, even Gao Can's expression was gloomy. This Fei Bai is also from the main faction. Although they are from the same faction, he actually dared to step on my head. This is truly hateful. When the time comes, I will let Big Brother go and teach him a lesson. Completely unaware that his own big brother had already died. The three elders who were sitting at the side revealed a gratified smile. All of these youngsters are not bad, their future prospects are boundless. This time, it was Dong Huangli's turn. Qinya and Dong Huang Baiji were both excited, and they tightly held on to their husbands' hands. Although they knew of their daughter's strength, looking at the current situation, they couldn't help but feel worried for their daughter. Originally, Dong Huangli was only so big, standing in the crowd, it was impossible to notice her at all. Right now, when everyone saw Dong Huangli going onto the stage, they all laughed out loud. With such a small height, not even the equipment on the stage can reach her. Yi Hua and his two wives were very angry. These damn trash are actually laughing at our daughter, we really want to directly kill them. Little fellow, quickly go home and watch cartoons. That's right, little fellow, this place is very dangerous. Little fellow, quickly go home, don't let Daddy and Mommy worry. Although Yi Hua was laughing, he was laughing at how cute Dong Huangli was. Yi Hua wasn't laughing at Dong Huangli, after all, Dong Huangli has never seen a little girl before. Dong Huangli pouted her small mouth. Ah, Li is angry. Chapter 447. His tiny fist struck out. Bang! The sound wasn't loud, but it reached everyone's ears. Everyone admired the little fellow's jumping ability. His posture was quite good, and he would definitely become a good martial artist in the future. Seeing that her daughter was able to calm down and take the test, Dong Huang Baiji felt relieved. Ah, Li's mental state is not bad. Yi Hua said faintly as he took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. Qinya poked her husband, then pointed at her own stomach. Are you trying to poison your son to death? Yi Hua shook his head helplessly and stepped on the cigarette to extinguish it. Zish Qingyi, who was below the stage, felt that Dong Huangli's stance was pretty good, just that she was too young. Not bad. Fei Bai was surprised and showed a praising expression. However, just as everyone was exclaiming, something even more shocking happened. The gigantic instrument began to emit green smoke. Then, it began to shake violently, and cracks began to appear on its surface. With a bang, it actually broke into pieces. Dong Huangli snorted. Dong Huangli liked everyone's astonished expression. It seems like father, like daughter. They both liked to see other people's shocked expressions, as if they had eaten shit. The three old men were stunned. This instrument could withstand a blow from a martial warrior. How could it explode? There was definitely a problem with the instrument itself. A staff member came out and explained, "I'm sorry, there's a problem with this instrument." "What about me? What level are you at?" Dong Guangli pointed at herself and said. The staff smiled and said, "You can hit it again." Dong Guangli pouted her small mouth. "So, you don't believe in Ali, all right then." Ali could only make some noise. Dong Guangli could be seen walking to the side of the machine, and her posture was still the same as before. Bang! The little fist fiercely smashed onto the surface, and then, boom boom boom. The entire machine flew backward and smashed a hole in the wall. Then, it crashed somewhere unknown. The entire place was silent. He rubbed his eyes, wondering if he was dreaming. How could that be? A little girl actually blew away the instrument. This was something that could block a blow from a samurai. Unbelievable. It was too fake. Dong Guangli was very satisfied with this kind of effect. Clapping her little hands, Dong Guangli waited for the announcement of her level. But what did they know? The staff member walked out and said with a smile, "Everyone, I'm really sorry. Both machines are broken. Please come again next time." Then, what about Ali's level? Dong Guangli was unwilling to give up. "I have already waited for such a long time, why aren't I given a level yet?" The staff smiled and said, "Little friend, there's no way to determine your level yet. When we buy new equipment, you can come back for the test." Dong Guangli let out a breath. Acting cool is so hard. Why is it that Daddy is so awesome when acting cool, and why am I not able to? It seemed that Ali still had to learn a lot from Papa and strive to have half of Papa's demeanor as soon as possible. Dong Guangli, who was helpless, walked down from the stage, then took a look at Zish Qingyi, who was in front of her, and let out a deep sigh. This feeling seemed to be saying that Ali was really depressed. If she had known this would happen, she would have hit him more gently and wouldn't have sent him flying. Ali is really amazing. Although he did not know how strong Ali was, he was certain that Ali was at least stronger than him. Dong Guangli smiled embarrassedly, "It's all right." Ali, right? "Big brother, I misunderstood you just now." Fei Bai walked over and said while stammering. "I feel that I have lost a lot of face by apologizing to a child." Dong Guangli pursed her lips, "Big brother, Ali accepts your apology." "When did I apologize just now?" "You are simply spouting nonsense and creating trouble." Looking at his daughter getting along well with the group of older children, Yihua smiled. "I feel that my daughter has grown up." Dong Guangbaiji was a bit sentimental. "It seems like my daughter will leave me and die when she grows up." Yihua lightly hugged onto the Empress. "Ali is going to get married sooner or later. I can't bear to." Dong Guangbaiji became more and more sentimental, and her eyes turned red. "Upon thinking about how my sweetheart is going to get married to someone else, my heart feels terrible." Yihua smiled. "How about this, let Ali get married to someone else. This way, Ali won't leave your side." "That's the only way then." Dong Guangbaiji felt that what Yihua said was true. "My daughter cannot be married off to someone else. It's fortunate that my child is a boy, I don't have to worry about it at all." "Hello, may I ask if Dong Guangli is your child?" One of the three old men could be seen walking over and asking. Shi Tingting immediately shouted out respectfully, "Dean Kong." Martial arts home could be considered as the fourth biggest power in the world, but it doesn't participate in any power struggles. Martial arts home has schools in various big cities, and this Kong Yu was the dean of the school in this city. How could he be willing to part with a new star like Dong Guangli? In the future, Dong Guangli will definitely become a martial king, and she might even become a martial spirit, or even a higher-level martial overlord. Towards this polite old man in front of him, Yihua nodded his head. Kong Yu was overjoyed. Dong Huang Li is a good child. If this old man teaches her, she will definitely become extraordinary in the future. Do I even need an old man like you to teach my daughter? However, seeing that your attitude is good, I will forget about it. No need. Yi Hua said indifferently. While hugging onto his two wives, he looked at his daughter bragging to others. Chapter 448. Fei Bai had a calm look on his face as he rubbed onto Li's head. Leave it to Brother Fei. Zish Qingyi was helpless. However, he quite liked Li. She was a very interesting little girl. Dong Huang Li could be seen dragging the two of them to the front of her parents while trembling with fear and trepidation. Yi Hua silently looked at the boy and girl behind his daughter. The boy and girl immediately shrunk back. This man's gaze is so scary. Seeing her daughter like this, Dong Huang Baiji thought back to when she was young. At that time, she wanted to go out to play, but in the end, she was caught and beaten by her father. Daddy, Mommy, can Ollie go out to play with big brother and big sister? Dong Huang Li asked softly. Looking at her daughter's expectant gaze, Dong Huang Baiji didn't know if she should learn from her father and discipline Ollie properly. Such a young child actually wants to go out to play with her friends. Right now, Yi Hua was also pondering. My daughter has the strength to protect herself, so I'm not worried about my daughter's safety. I should let my daughter have her own friends and social circle. I can't always tie my daughter to my side. I need to have my own thoughts and opinions. Seeing her daddy and mommy's sunken face, Dong Huang Li lowered her head even more and used her shoes to poke the ground, looking very pitiful. Fei Bai mustered up his courage and said, Uncle, Auntie, don't worry, in this long and city, as long as I am here, no one will dare to bully Li. Zish Qingyi silently nodded his head. Shi Tingting said softly, Mister, their two families are very prestigious in Long and City. Yi Hua asked curiously, is this place called Long and City as well? Yes, mister. What a coincidence, even their names are the same. It wasn't easy for my daughter to make new friends. Although they aren't the same age, it still wasn't easy. If I were to reject them now, my daughter would definitely be sad. Dong Huang Baiji thought so too. My daughter had been living in the courtyard since she was young, and all she came into contact with were maids. She didn't have any friends at all. Now that she had two new friends, she would definitely be very happy. When are you coming back? Yi Hua asked faintly. In the end, he still decided to let his daughter go out to play and let her experience the world by herself. Even if there was any danger, he would also know about it. Furthermore, with the strength that his daughter had displayed, there was no one in the entire Long and City who could be her match. Hearing her father's words, Dong Huang Li became happy. Uncle, don't worry. We'll bring Li to big sister Shi's house for dinner. What do you think? Zish Qingyi said seriously. He felt a lot of pressure. Li's parents were definitely not ordinary people. Yi Hua silently nodded his head. Li, remember to come back after dinner. Daddy, I got it. I guarantee that I will come back on time. Dong Huang Li immediately became lively, and started bouncing around happily. If this was an ordinary family, they would definitely not allow such a thing to happen. However, as the daughter of a supreme overlord, how could she possibly compare herself with an ordinary child? Yi Hua also wished for his daughter to experience the world as soon as possible. There are many kinds of friends, and I hope that my daughter will be able to clearly see who is good to her and who is using her. Mommy, Ollie went out to play. I won't disturb Daddy and Mommy's honeymoon anymore. After finished speaking, Dong Huang Li pulled onto Fei Bai and Zish Qingyi's hands and ran out. Dong Huang Baiji said. Yi, Bai Baiji, and said to laugh. Li Li's parents, Yin Yi. Yi Hua patted on Dong Huang Baiji's shoulder. Don't worry, Li is very smart. she won't be able to play with us. Children need their own space too. Yihua, I didn't expect you to know so much. Qingye held onto her husband's arm and teased. Yihua lowered his head and said softly, the thing that knows the most is your body. Qingye pinched Yihua's waist. This bastard is getting more and more shameless. Alright, children should play with children's things, we adults should also play with adults' things. Shitingting, do you have any bars here? Yihua asked faintly. I'm going to take a look at what a civilized bar looks like and learn from other people's techniques. When I go back, I'm going to improve my bar. If not, I'm going to go bankrupt. Shitingting asked, Mister, what kind of bar do you want to go to? The highest class ones, the ones that have the best business. Understood. This was Longtan City that was as big as a province, there were countless entertainment facilities. Of course, there were only a few high-class ones. After Dong Huangli ran outside, she was simply overjoyed. I'm finally free from the halo of daddy and mommy. Ollie, your daddy looks so fierce. Zhishqingyi said softly. Although Zhishqingyi didn't show any expression, Zhishqingyi felt that daddy was hard to get along with. Big sister Qingyi, my daddy is actually quite easy to talk to, the prerequisite is that you don't provoke him. Dong Huangli laughed mischievously, because the group of people that provoked mommy were all killed by daddy. Daddy is the protector of mommy and me, having such a cute daddy is truly a blessing. Ollie feels that she is too lucky, to be able to be daddy and mommy's daughter. Fei Bai asked curiously, Ollie, how strong is your daddy? I don't know how strong Ollie is, but in any case, he is very strong. What are we going to do? Are we going to play at the amusement park or are we going to play with dolls? Dong Huangli was already impatient. Fei Bai laughed out loud, those are all things that children play. Ollie is a child. Zhishqingyi revealed out a faint smile, causing Fei Bai to become a bit absent-minded. Soon after, Fei Bai shook his head. Ollie, let's go and watch the wedding annulment, that scene would definitely be explosive. Fei Bai suggested. Dong Huangli wrinkled her brows, is it that little big brother who was ridiculed by everyone? That's right, their family is treating us today, but this Zhou Zhiye's test is still the same, they will definitely come and cancel the wedding. Fei Bai was already impatient to see Zhou Zhiye's helpless and angry look. Wasn't he very arrogant in the past? To think that he is so amazing just because he is a pampered son, this is retribution. If big sister Qingyi goes, Ollie will go too. Dong Huangli held on to Zhishqingyi's hand and said. Zhishqingyi looked at Fei Bai, seemingly to be asking, how are you going to beg me? Qingyi, we have been friends for many years. Before Fei Bai could finish, Dong Huangli cried out in surprise, Big brother Fei, do you like big sister Qingyi? Pfft. Fei Bai choked on his own saliva, while Zhishqingyi turned her face away with a slightly red face. Ollie, how could I possibly like Qingyi? It can't be, it can't be. Fei Bai hurriedly explained. Zhishqingyi said coldly, who asked you to like her? Shameless. After finished speaking, Zhishqingyi pulled Dong Huangli and walked away. No, no. Qingyi, listen to my explanation. Fei Bai hurriedly followed after Zhishqingyi. You can go and explain to other women. Chapter 449. This situation is a bit similar to that of Papa and Mama. It seems that Ali can also be a matchmaker, ha ha ha. Fei Bai had no choice but to follow. After hearing what Ali said, he was a little confused. In actuality, Fei Bai and Zhishqingyi had known each other since they were young. Longtan City's social circle was only that big. Fei Bai's family belonged to the bishop's faction, while Zhishqingyi belonged to the royal family's faction. They were destined to become rivals in the future. However, that was something to do after they grew up. After all, they were only 16 years old. When they were in the prime of their youth, they would hang out and play together. Zhixingyi was one of the more outstanding girls among the three factions and was liked by many boys. Of course, Fei Bai liked her as well, but he did not say it out loud. He knew that since he was in the bishop's faction, it was impossible for him to be with her in the future. At this moment, an octopus bro walked over with a microphone in his hand. "Hello, this is a street interview." Octopus bro grinned, and his entire head was filled with tentacles. Looking at the octopus bro, Dong Huangli's entire body went numb, and Dong Huangli hid behind Zhixingyi. Fei Bai and Zhixingyi were now normal. Fei Bai said, "Interesting, what do you want to interview?" "I have a device here. Just take a look at your face and you will know how many times you have booked a room." Zhang Yuji's words shocked Fei Bai. The number of times he booked a room. Fei Bai said hurriedly, "What's there to test? Let's go, let's go." "Wait, I think the test is pretty good," Zhixingyi said indifferently. "Qingyi, that's not allowed. I'll treat you to ice cream." Zhixingyi didn't care at all and let Brother Octopus do the test. Octopus was very happy. He wanted to break up a couple and take revenge on society. The test results came out very quickly. 0 room booking record. This made Fei Bai secretly happy. He did not think that Qingyi had not gone to a hotel before. She was a good girl. "Qingyi, didn't you say there's a dress you like? I'll buy it for you." Fei Bai immediately changed the topic. "Test," Zhixingyi said coldly. Dong Huangli said in a low voice, "Big brother Fei, do you not dare to do it?" "Hee, who says I don't dare? It's just a test." "So be it." Fei Bai could only bite the bullet. However, the results were often astonishing. At such a young age, he had actually opened it 153 times. Hearing this result, Zhixingyi's entire body emitted a chill. "Thank you for your cooperation. I wish you two a long life together." Brother Octopus ran away after saying that. He was very worried that he would get hammered. "Qingyi, listen to the explanation. This is all a group of scoundrel friends getting a room and playing cards. It's not what you think." Zhixingyi said indifferently, "What does it have to do with me?" Fei Bai kept explaining along the way, but he did not know why he had to explain such things. On the other hand, Zhixingyi brought Dong Huangli everywhere and bought delicious food for Dong Huangli. However, Fei Bai wasn't included. During this time, Zhixingyi received a call from his father to attend the banquet hosted by the Zhou clan. After all, they were all from the royal family. This time, Fei Bai got what he wanted. Although he was from the Episcopal Church, because of his young age, he could still attend such a banquet, and the elders would not say anything. However, after he became an adult, he could no longer do so. The sky gradually darkened, and the three of them appeared in front of the Zhou family's main gate. This was a very high-tech mansion, and the ecosystem was self-regulating. One could not help but admire the comfort brought by technology. There were many people who came to attend the banquet, and most of them were from the royal family. However, there were also young people like Fei Bai who came to learn from the experience and build a good relationship with him. In the future, they would be enemies. Dong Huangli was also very curious, and she was sizing up Dong Huangli. "This trip is too fun, in the future, should come out to travel more often in the future to gain more experience. Li, follow closely." Zhixingyi reminded. "Yes. Qingyi, don't worry. I'll be watching over Ali," Fei Bai said with a smile. He had not paid any attention to Qingyi this afternoon. Zhixingyi exhaled. "Keep an eye on Ali, I'll go greet him." Looking at Zhixingyi's father, who was not far away, Fei Bai tidied up his hair. Should I pay my respects to uncle? Get lost. Alright. After Zish Qingyi left for the time being, Dong Guangli pulled onto the corner of Fei Bai's clothes. Big brother Fei, do you like big sister Qingyi? Do children know what love is? Fei Bai sighed softly. Dong Guangli raised her chin and said, a few days ago, my daddy and mommy were quarreling with each other, and I was the one who pacified them. This little fellow really knows how to endlessly expose me. Sigh, you don't understand our situation here. Even if I like her and she likes me, in the end, we will only become enemies. Fei Bai seemed to be very disappointed. How great would it be if we were in the same faction, we wouldn't have to worry so much. Dong Guangli didn't understand these things and said naively, isn't it fine as long as the two of us like each other? Why do we have to become enemies? Fei Bai smiled and said nothing. You aliens are truly troublesome. Dong Guangli sighed and said in an old-fashioned manner. Fei Bai laughed and teased, you little alien, you sure are mature. Do you believe that I will be able to help you court big sister Qingyi? Dong Guangli smiled mysteriously. As expected, I inherited Yihua's genes, I like to do good deeds. Li, if you are able to help me court Qingyi, I will do anything you want me to do. Fei Bai patted onto his chest. Right now, I am not of age yet, there are some rules that I don't have to follow. Dong Guangli appeared to be very confident, leave it to me. Fei Bai patted onto Dong Guangli's shoulder. Big brother appreciates your kind intentions, but there are some things that a child wouldn't understand. The banquet was held in the form of a buffet. People who were dressed luxuriously were chatting with each other in groups, and robots were shuttling back and forth among the crowd, serving drinks to the people. Meanwhile, Dong Guangli pulled out a stool and stood on the stool, then began eating the cake. This is too delicious, this cream cake is simply too delicious. Everyone who was present at the banquet was sent by the royal family, and very few people would touch the buffet. Even if it was a person who looked like a teenager, it would be embarrassing for them to eat like this. However, Dong Guangli was a child, and she looked so cute. Li, is it delicious? Zish Qingyi held on to the cream cake and fed it to Dong Guangli. Dong Guangli happily received the cream cake, and her big eyes narrowed into slits. It's delicious. Fei Bai, who was at the side, was drinking fruit wine, looking very gentlemanly. Big sister Qingyi, let me tell you a secret. Dong Guangli said with a smile. What secret? Big brother Fei just told me that he has liked you for a very long time. Dong Guangli said with a smile. Pfft. Fei Bai sprayed out all of the fruit wine that was in his mouth, then hurriedly explained, Qingyi, Li is just spouting nonsense. Zish Qingyi silently took a look at Fei Bai, then let out a cold snort. Dong Guangli sighed, Big brother Fei, if you continue like this, you will become a single dog in the future, just like my Uncle Green. Chapter 450. Dong Guangli pursed her lips, It means a man who is unable to find a wife, a lone star, a lone wolf. Hee, how could I, Fei Bai, not be able to find a wife? I can find a whole bunch of them in minutes. Hee, go look for him. Zish Qingyi laughed coldly. Dong Guangli shook her head. This big brother Fei is also a male chauvinist. Within the crowd, there were a lot of people who were paying attention to Dong Guangli. The rumor of the national wine had already spread out. Not sure where did Xidingting from the aristocratic party found a martial artist, and when Xidingting was eating, the martial artist opened a bottle that was similar to the national wine, which attracted a lot of people's attention. He also wanted to know if it was true or not. Hey, isn't that Zhou Jie? Fei Bai pointed at the young man not far away. Dong Guangli also saw Zhou Jie. Tonight, Zhou Jie was wearing a white and fitting gown, appearing very refined and courteous. However, no one paid any attention to him, causing him to appear a bit miserable. Fei Bai laughed. I wonder if the Shi family will come tonight. If they come, then there will be a good show to watch. You like watching it that much? Zish Qingyi asked indifferently. It's not like you don't know how arrogant Zhou Zhiye was when he was strong. Look at him now, no one even cares about him. Dong Huangli shook her head helplessly. Big sister Qingyi didn't mean that at all, she is truly an idiot. Suddenly, 4 people walked over from afar. Damn, the Shi family is really here. Fei Bai exclaimed. Everyone looked at the people from the Shi clan. Among them, there was a girl with an astonishing appearance, comparable to Zish Qingyi, but their temperaments were different. Zish Qingyi was amiable and approachable, while Shi Sihan had an air of arrogance. Everyone looked at the 4 of them. They discussed in whispers. The Shi family probably chose to come today to break off the engagement. Yeah, Zhou Zhiye used to be a spoiled brat, but now he's trash. How could the Shi family let Shi Sihan marry him? I didn't expect the proud son of the past to fall to such a state. That man looks so familiar. Heavens, it's Lu Qing, a first-grade martial warrior. A big shot. Looks like the Zhou family is going to be ruthlessly slapped in the face tonight. There are even 2 martial artist-level experts. Is the royal family going to have an internal strife? Among the 4, there was a handsome man with a cold look in his eyes, as if he didn't care about anyone. This kind of small city was trash. Even a martial artist could proclaim himself as a king here. If he came here, wouldn't he be able to ascend to heaven? The expressions of the Zhou clan members changed slightly when they saw the 4 of them. Zhou Zhiye, in particular, clenched his fists tightly. It was obvious that he already knew why they were here. This was really a case of a tiger being bullied by a dog. That's Lady Lu Qing. I didn't expect the Shi family to invite such a person. Fei Bai was astonished. Martial warriors were such powerful beings that they could teach others how to behave in a matter of minutes. Dong Huangli asked curiously, is this Lu Qing very powerful? Ziju Qingyi took out a tissue and wiped the corner of Dong Huangli's mouth, then said in a low voice, I heard that in the main city, Dong Huangli's position is quite high. The Shi family is really generous. Fei Bai sighed. Dong Huangli continued to wave the chicken wing. We are all small figures, what is there to be surprised about? The chicken wing is still the most delicious, it smells so good however, to Long and City, such a person had not appeared for a very long time. This caused everyone to be extremely astonished. Uncle Zhou, hello. Shi Sihan could be seen walking in front of the Zhou clan's family head, Zhou Yutang, and politely shouted out. Zhou Yutang was a tall and sturdy middle-aged man, and there was a faint smile on his face. However, right now, no matter how hard he tried to smile, he was unable to smile at all. The other party's intention was already very clear. This Shi family truly doesn't give me any face at all, to actually choose this kind of occasion. Sihan, after not seeing you for a few months, you have become even more beautiful. Zhou Yutang endured the anger in his heart, and right now, Zhou Zhiye walked to the side and looked at this woman who had sworn not to leave him in the past. Shi Sihan said with a slight smile, Uncle Zhou, you flatter me. Today, Sihan came here to talk about a matter. Hearing what Shi Sihan said, everyone held their breath. She really came here to break off the engagement. Burp, a strange sound rang out. In this quiet occasion, Dong Huangli squatted down embarrassedly. After burping because she was too full, she let out a burp. After this small interlude, Shi Sihan said with a smile, Uncle Zhou, if there's anything that Sihan wants to say, you don't have to treat me as an outsider. Hee, of course not, Sihan, if there's anything that you want to say, just say it. Looking at the martial warrior level experts and the two martial warriors behind them, Zhu Yutang didn't dare to say anything. Shi Sihan took a look at Zhou Zhiye, then said faintly, "My father wishes for our two families to break off the engagement. Sihan is truly sorry." Hearing what Shi Sihan said, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Shi Sihan really said it out loud. That's a direct slap to the face. However, Shi Sihan said it tactfully. She was rather polite. Shi Sihan raised her hand, and Lu Qing took out a small box. Shi Sihan said faintly, "Uncle Zhou, inside this box is a spirit-gathering pill. Zhu Ye should be able to use it. I hope that he will be able to find a better girl in the future." Bang! The wine glass in Zhou Yutang's hand was smashed into pieces. "I am the dignified family head. And I actually got my face slapped by a little girl. Furthermore, it was done in front of so many people. This is a humiliation." Looking at his father's red face, Zhou Zhiye said coldly, "Shi Sihan, take your things and scram. Our Zhou family doesn't welcome you. Also, it's me who is divorcing you." To everyone's surprise, Zhou Zhiye took out a divorce certificate. It seemed like he had prepared for this. "Zhou Zhiye, I'm giving face to your father. I hope you won't tarnish your father's name anymore," Shi Sihan said disdainfully. "In the past, you were favored by the heavens, and everyone had to suck up to you. But now, who do you think you are?" Zhou Yutang took a deep breath and said, "Sihan, is this really what your father wants? It's my own business, and I will make my own decisions. Uncle Zhou, please control your son and don't embarrass him in front of so many people." Hearing this, Zhou Zhiye shouted angrily, "Shi Sihan, remember what you said today. My Zhou Zhiye, I swear to the heavens that you will regret it." "Enough. Don't say any more," Zhou Yutang shouted at his son. Wasn't he embarrassed enough? Shi Sihan said faintly, "Uncle Zhou is right. Know your place and know your own strength. Don't keep saying things like, life is full of ups and downs, don't bully the young." When you said that, I really wanted to laugh. You. Zhou Zhiye pointed at Shi Sihan and threw a punch at her. However, before he could make a move, his father, who was behind him, reached out and gave him a slap. Slap. It was loud and painful. Chapter 451. There were warriors on the other side. "Father." Zhou Zhiye covered his face in disbelief. Shi Sihan smiled faintly and said, "Uncle Zhou, it's fortunate that you made a move, otherwise Sihan would have been injured." Zhou Yutang's expression was gloomy as he said, "Shi Sihan, you have achieved your goal. Go back. Uncle Zhou, your son was about to hit me just now. Shouldn't you apologize?" Shi Sihan had a wronged expression on her face. Her acting was not bad. This Zhou Zhiye really doesn't know his place. "I've already given you face, but you still want to beat me up." He was really a toad lusting after swan meat. Why didn't he look at himself first? Zhou Zhiye wants to apologize. Gao Kan suddenly shouted from the crowd. He was from the bishop's faction, so of course he was happy to see such a situation. He also had the intention of beating the dog when it was down. As Gao Kan shouted, the youths who had been bullied by Zhou Zhiye in the past also started to jeer. Dong Huangli said, "How pitiful, to be targeted by so many people." "Ali, if you knew Zhou Zhiye's character in the past, you wouldn't find him pitiful anymore," Fei Bai said calmly. Ziju Qingyi remained silent. In fact, no one interrupted. After all, the Shi family had brought a warrior with them. Who would dare to mess around? Zhou Zhiye, who had fallen to the ground, slowly stood up. His blood-red eyes glared at Shi Sihan as his body emitted a pure white spiritual energy. Damn! What was going on? How did this Zhou Zhiye? Zhou Zhiye is showing his prowess now. What a reversal, Shi Sihan is probably regretting it now. The spiritual energy on Zhou Zhiye's body grew thicker and thicker. His blood-red eyes turned white and his level continued to rise. Shi Sihan took a step back in disbelief. She didn't expect Zhou Zhiye to have such a reaction. Zhou Yutang, who was behind him, was very gratified. His son had indeed been enduring silently all this while. He was still the proud son of the past. As his strength increased, the dining table shook. Zhou Zhiye was like a bright sun, shining brightly. Beginner martial disciple. First grade martial disciple. 10th grade martial disciple. First grade martial disciple. 5th grade martial disciple. 10th grade martial disciple. This time, everyone was stunned. The Zhou family was about to rise. Zhou Zhiye had risen again. He was even more powerful than before. A wave of spiritual pressure gradually spread out, and everyone could feel it. What terrifying strength! This Zhou Zhiye was only 16 years old, but he had already reached level 10. How fierce! You wouldn't be able to find a second genius like him in the entire Federation. This Shi Sihan was slapped in the face. Although it wasn't loud, it was painful. How could she miss such a man? If this didn't happen, Shi Sihan would be the woman of a superstar in the future. She would be the object of envy for all women. Boom! A beam of white light soared into the sky. Zhou Zhiye had reached the realm of a first-grade warrior. Oh my God! How was that possible? He's only 16 years old, and he's already a samurai. A warrior of this age would be considered a genius even in the imperial capital. Shi Sihan stared blankly at Zhou Zhiye, who was in the middle of erupting, stupefied. Lu Qing was also shocked. It was her first time seeing such a young warrior. Especially from nothing to something. Just like leveling up from level 0 to level 10, he instantly went from an ordinary person to a samurai. Those youngsters who were mocking Zhou Zhiye just now all shut their mouths, and they were even afraid of Zhou Zhiye. The rising Zhou Zhiye will definitely take revenge on them. Oh my God, I suddenly feel so regretful. Just now, it would have been fine if Shi Sihan had left. Why did I still have to apologize to them? Right now, it isn't others who need to apologize, you are the one who needs to apologize. Fei Bai and Ziju Qingyi were both stupefied. We are only martial disciples, and Zhou Zhiye has actually reached the realm of a first-grade warrior. The difference between us isn't small at all. Dong Huangli licked the ice cream. She felt that she had changed from a small salted fish to a big salted fish, but she was still a salted fish. Zhou Zhiye slowly opened his eyes, feeling the power that he hadn't felt for a long time. Looking at Shi Sihan, who was in front of him, he said, I told you before, I will make you regret. Life is full of ups and downs, don't bully a young man for being poor. At this moment, after Zhou Zhiye said such a sentence, no one refuted him, and no one laughed at him. After all, who would dare to laugh at a 16-year-old samurai? Is he tired of living? However, Dong Huangli was amused by Zhou Zhiye's words, then pointed at Zhou Zhiye and said, Ha, Ali has already heard you say that 3 times. Everyone at the scene, Fei Bai and Ziju Qingyi, immediately covered Dong Huangli's small mouth. Little ancestor, that is a samurai, you are not allowed to laugh at him. Fei Bai said in a low voice, Ali, it wasn't 3 times, it was 2 times, and the other time was said by Shi Sihan. Oh, is that so? Ali remembered wrongly, I'm really sorry. Dong Huangli pouted her mouth. Just now, I was too focused on eating. Zhou Zhiye took a cold glance at Zhou Zhiye. I will properly teach all of those who laughed at me a lesson. However, I will first make these people in front of me regret. Shi-Si-Han, if you kneel down and beg right now, I will still take you in as a concubine. Zhou Zhiye said coldly. A lot of people felt that Zhou Zhiye was not bad. Although a concubine cannot be compared to a concubine, becoming a concubine of a samurai is still a great honor. After hearing that, Shi-Si-Han's beautiful face alternated between white and red. I didn't expect that this trash would actually explode. Humph. Zhou Zhiye, so what if this is the case? My Shi family is about to go to the imperial city. Have you been there before? Do you know how many people like you are in the imperial city? Even if you suddenly become strong now, in my eyes, you will forever be a trash. Lu Qing, who was at the side, couldn't help but sigh. Even in the entire imperial city, this Zhou Zhiye can be counted as a genius. Right now, if you admit defeat, you will still be able to become a concubine, but in the future, even if you want to become a concubine, you won't have any plans at all. Ha! I, Zhou Zhiye, don't dare to say that I am an absolute genius, but in the entire Blue Blaze planet, how many people are like me? A 16-year-old first-rank samurai. Shi-Si-Han, I know that you are very regretful right now, so stop putting on an act, kneel down and kowtow to admit your mistake. There is still a place for you in my concubine. A second ago, Shi-Si-Han was suppressing Zhou Zhiye, and in the next second, Zhou Zhiye rose up and slapped Shi-Si-Han's face. Shi-Si-Han tightly clenched her fists. Why did this bastard rise up? He is a trash. A complete and utter trash. Right at this moment, a family's airship arrived in the sky, and under a blue light, a slightly plump man appeared on the airship. Father! Shi-Si-Han shouted out in grievance. Slap! Shihua gave his daughter a backhand slap on her face. How dare he secretly come to break off the engagement? If it wasn't for someone coming to report, he would have missed out on a genius son-in-law, a 16-year-old samurai. In the future, he would be a marquis. Everyone was shocked. This reversal came one after another, and the head of the Shi family gave his daughter a big slap when he got off the airship. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.